Do you know what Watergwan is? It's where you can get news about the Jamaican culture and just learn about how Jamaicans are doing, as I said, yard and abroad.
Salut tout le monde, ici Kaya La Flamme. T'aimes le reggae en français, en anglais, qui vient du Canada, du Québec et de la Jamaïque? Écoute Watergwan.
So rope in and come check out the thing now. It's Watergwan.
I live in the UK and I enjoy tuning in to Watergwan.
I am a big fan of Gwaan. I'm always looking forward for the great vibes, the great things. They discuss a lot of things that are going on in Calgary, across Canada, and of course Jamaica. So I encourage.
This is what is going on in Jamaica. But check out Gwaan.
Every Friday at 7 p.m. Calgary time.
You get to learn a new Jamaican patois word or even a Jamaican trick.
I look forward to the patois word of the day, feeding my nostalgic mood with flavor and spice. Only Jamaicans can do.
Watch Gwaan.
It happens every Friday at 7 p.m. So check them out. And bye from Toronto.
Watch Gwaan.
Yo, this is Keisha.
Watch Gwaan.
Relevant and entertaining, so keep up the good work.
Watch Gwaan.
Tune in, share, listen to Gwaan.
Big up yourself. Gwaan 2022. Bless you.
Watergwan. Yes, Watergwan.
Watch Gwaan.
Always you're going to know Wagwan in a yard. Check it out. 7 p.m. every Friday.
Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to Watergwan. My name is Shelly Morgan, and it is my absolute pleasure to be your host, and I'm coming to you live from Montreal, Quebec. Today is a very important federal holiday here in Canada. September 30th marks the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. Today, the day honors the children who never return home and survivors of residential schools, as well as their families and communities. We recognize that public commemoration of the tragic and painful history and ongoing impact of residential schools is a vital component of the reconciliation process here in Canada. Both the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation and Orange Shirt Day take place on September 30th. Now, Orange Shirt Day is an Indigenous-led grassroots commemorative day intended to raise awareness of the individual, family, and community intergenerational impacts of residential schools and to promote the concept of every child matters. The orange shirt is a symbol of the stripping away of culture, freedom, and self-esteem experienced by Indigenous children over generations. As such, today, on September 30th, all Canadians are encouraged to wear orange to honor the thousands of survivors of residential schools. And we're here with that in our heart and in our mind. I welcome you to another episode of Watergwan. It is going to be a phenomenal show. I know I say I'm excited about every show, but this one is in a like Aki. Me just love it, like oxtail. Yeah. Today's discussion will focus on the topic of older adults dealing with the aging process, and our invited guests include the one and only Paula, deRonde, and Eunice Graham. Seeing how this topic affects all of us at different stages of our lives, you know, this is going to be a very good conversation, because if we're blessed with more years, the more we know is the better we'll be at it. But before we go there, so I would like to share with you the word of the day. Twang. No little twang. Not sure. Write a definition in the comments. Use it in a sentence. Tell me your experience with twang. We welcome all your questions and comments in the chat. And so let's keep the conversation going. Now, last week, we invited Siobhan Fuller and Gillian Heaven and had an engaging conversation about making Jamaica clean again. We discussed the current state of affairs, the involvement of the local government, and ideas on how Jamaicans can improve the situation. We thank both Siobhan and Gillian for sharing their experience and insights and passion. We encourage you all to check out the show on YouTube and our Facebook page to add your comments about what ideas you have on this very important topic of making Jamaica clean again. We love it when you engage with us with your comments, your feedback, your thoughts. So keep them coming. If you miss a show or any episode, check out the replay on What a Gwaan YouTube channel and our Facebook page. Find the links on our website, whatagwan.ca. But we want to know what a Gwaan across Canada. Let us look for events nearest you. In Winnipeg, the Afro-Caribbean Association of Manitoba is hosting a fall dinner dance on Saturday, October 15th, located at 239 Watt Street, starting at 6:30 p.m., with a cocktail hour followed by seated dinner at 7 p.m. The Honorable Audrey Gordon, the Manitoba Minister of Health, will be the guest speaker for the evening, and live entertainment will be by the one and only Clyde Hurler and the Paradise Band. Tickets are only $40 for children, for adults rather, and $15 for children under the age of 12 years old. Please note, tickets must be purchased before October 10th. So you have some time so you can reserve your seat. So get your tickets as soon as you can. For more detail, contact their website at www.afrocaribbean.org or call them at 204-677-6919. And in Montreal, you are invited to the Jamaica Association of Montreal's Heroes and Heroine Banquet on October 15th. It will be held at the Ruby Food Restaurant located at 7633 Decarie Boulevard. Starting time is 6 p.m. and tickets are $120 for association members and $140 for non-members. The guest speaker will be clinical social worker Mr. Vassar George Ogilvy. For more information, please call the association at 514-737-8229 or email them at info@jam-montreal.com. And now, let us spot that place. Where we share pictures of places in Jamaica and Canada, and you need to tell us a specific location. And the clues for today's spot the place is these falls empty into the Caribbean Sea at the western end of an attractive white sand beach. Climbing the waterfalls is a popular tourist activity as well as locals, because when I was in Jamaica, I loved going to that place and climbing that fall. It's 20 minutes away from Runaway Bay. Location, it was actually the location of the Battle of Las Corrias in 1657 between the English and the Spanish. Can you spot the place? Add it in the comments and we want to hear from you, and we will let you know if you got it right. Come on, guess, we want to hear from you. Ay, ay, ay. A lot of things to do. Twang, spot that place. But before we do all of that, it's now time to reason with my good brethren who know how to twang. Donovan.
Hi, Shelley. How are you?
Hi. Hi, he's doing very nice and hot in this evening over here.
You're Auntie.
Hi, eyes hotty.
Well, I don't know if your tongue better than mine. But that's how we do it, right? What is it? All is good?
Give thanks, give thanks.
All right,
Yes.
blessings, blessings. Listen, this week, I know you're excited about this one for true. If the other time they made it kind of, try the excitement. This one I know, right?
Yes.
Because we're going to talk about with the seniors and we're going to talk about aging and all of them things that I know you really, really love. All right. We have two great guests. I want to, one of them kind of still try to get on, but we're going to get into it because I want to squeeze every ounce of information and
Yes.
perspective into this one. All right.
Yes.
So, me talk to you afterwards.
All right. Sound good.
Okay?
All right.
All right, folks, listen. Today, welcome again to A Time to Reason. My name is Donovan, and today we're going to talk about seniors and the aging process. And, I've got two awesome guests who are waiting in the wings to join me. One of them is Paula deRonde. She's an author, caregiver, public speaker, advocate, you name it. She's done a lot of things, spent a lot of years in the library service, has been recognized in a number of ways. She was recognized by the Ontario Library Association. She was a caregiver winning the Heroes in the Home Award. She's also a 2022 honoree in the 100 accomplished Black Canadian women. And she was also selected as part of celebrating Jamaica 60 as a game changer. But maybe the biggest thing that jumped out at me when I read Paula's story is that she's a recent author, published a book called My Bird Has Alzheimer's, Caregiving is Living for Two, right? Wonderful story that she'll share some of that with us. Also coming on is Eunice Graham, born and raised in Jamaica, spent many years, over 30 odd years in the public service here. Also did some work in Jamaica. She's an activist as well, a board member of the Coalition of Black Trade Unionists here in Ontario. And she's also been a recipient of a number of awards, the Queen's Golden Jubilee Pin, the Jack White Service Award, the CBTU Women's Committee Award, amongst others. She's working to get online here with us, but we're going to get the conversation started because I've got Paula in the house. Paula, welcome to A Time to Reason here at Gwaan.
Thank you. Pleased to be here.
Awesome, pleasure. And I miss the fact that you're from Stony Hill in Jamaica. So all of the people who may think you're twanging, because I know you won't twang, right?
No. I don't think so, but anyhow.
All right. Let's jump into the conversation because there is so much to talk about as it relates to aging and seniors and all kinds of stuff. So maybe let's start, Paula, with some of the things that people tend to underestimate or ignore about this whole process of aging. What are some of the things that you'd want to call out to them?
Well, when we talk about the process of aging, it's a slow process. And that also works against us in that we tend to put it off. It's something we'll do later. It's what's going to happen later. And so we do not prepare for it. We ignore the fact that yesterday you could stretch up and reach the glass on the top shelf. And today when you tried, the shoulder gave you a twinge and you think, I better get a step stool. The natural vitality that you had when you were 20, you have to piece that out very carefully when you're 60 and 70 and 80, because now at 80, you can be still pretty fit and willing to go anywhere. And there are diseases of the aging that only come when you're after a certain age. Alzheimer's is one of them, although you do have early onset. It's usually an older person that gets Alzheimer's and certain forms of dementia.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things we tend to underestimate is the cost of aging.
Right.
We do have support services, and it varies across the country as usual, but you do get some support, but it's always a shared cost. And we tend not to remember that that shared cost is coming up and that they multiply as you get older.
Well, since we talk about the multiplication, Paula, first of all, why do you think there is this sometimes reluctance to either accept or understand this whole aging thing?
Well, we don't want to get old because in the back of our minds, we know that, some people say they wake up in the morning to a symphony and it's their arthritic joints creaking. And yeah, and some people, that happens to me, I can tell you. And then there is this stigma of ageism. We don't want to be seen as being old because, as I usually say, because you're retired does not mean you're retarded.
Right.
But somehow, when you become the person who no longer works, all of a sudden you become the person who you have to talk a little louder to. You shout more than you should. The person you sort of ignore. And that's something that is not only among people of our ilk standing around, but governments. Governments tend to start ignoring the elderly. They are people who can be dispensed of or warehoused or sent out of their milieu because they need that service, and all of a sudden you become vulnerable.
Right.
So that's part and parcel of why we tend to not want to age, even though many will say, if you have lived this long, you have the experience, you have gotten some wisdom, you can talk to other people at a certain level. And it is so freeing to realize that while you have reached this stage, you don't have to listen to what everybody else says about you.
Right. Eunice has finally gotten on. Eunice, I hope you can hear us nice and clear. How are you? We're struggling a little earlier with the technology, so let's see. Paula, we'll continue until we get Eunice settled in here.
Yes.
Let's talk a little bit about culture. Eunice, are you hearing us? Yeah, we're still struggling a little with this one. Paula, let's talk a little bit about culture and this whole process of aging. How do you think culture, Jamaican culture, Canadian culture, how does it affect, what you see of it and how it plays itself out?
Well, I think all cultures, all countries have a culture. And part of that, because you are part of the population, the aging population responds to the culture in which they were brought up. In Jamaica, people are looked after by their family, by friends, by the community, by the church, by social agencies who are always usually underfunded. In Canada, we tend to look first to the social network from the government. And because a lot of us have our families back at home and we are here, we lack that, I want to say, the cuddling, the softness, the care that goes beyond having the wheelchair or the walker or the community center. We want to have the feeling of community, of people who know us, drink like us, eat like us, talk like us, have experiences like us. The Jamaicans who were born here, I think even there's a little difference between that, because they were born here, they are Canadian acculturalized.
Mm-hmm.
But if we're talking about the aging population, there are a lot of us
Right.
who came here who came to this country as immigrants.
Mm-hmm.
And our backbone, our the solid thing about what we know and what we go to comes from the background of our grandmothers, our parents, that warm Jamaican culture that we have within us. And so one of the processes of aging for a Jamaican here in Canada of a certain age is that we suddenly feel that lack of community that cuddles and cares and wraps us in that certain thing. We don't have to start the conversation from scratch when we meet each other.
Right.
We have that solid foundation, and it is a known foundation.
Right. Since we're talking about connection and community, I want to talk about family a little bit. How do families, and what are some of the things you see and you experience between the kids and the aging parents, and the acceptance and preparation for the aging process?
The preparation in families. As you know, my book is about Alzheimer's. My husband has Alzheimer's. My bird has Alzheimer's. And I talk about caregiving is living for two, because progressive neurological diseases is one that affects the elderly.
Mm-hmm.
Children are not aware or life is so busy. This is not a subject that they're going to delve into. To be truthful, something like Alzheimer's is a sucker punch. It comes up. It's not something we want, just as how we don't want to get old.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same way nobody wants to get Alzheimer's.
Right.
So when you get a diagnosis of that, and it is a disease of the aging, you are beginning from scratch. Families, heaven forbid that too many of us go down that route. But if you're preparing for being old and that process, you have to think about things like, who is going to be your essential caregiver?
Right.
How are you going to redo your home or apartment or wherever you live to accommodate that person?
Right.
How are you going to ensure that there is some social connectivity in all of that? What is the quality of life experience going to be? And I can give you a little bit of that in my experience, because during the late stages of my husband's dementia, I would often be asked, "Oh, Paula, I went to see him every single day that he was in a long-term care home."
Right.
It's part of my advocacy now. But I was asked quite often, what is the worst thing? What really gets to you? How do you cope? And funnily enough, it was not the huge things that we talk about.
Mm-hmm.
The wandering, the aggressiveness. He was never, ever aggressive, thank the Lord. But it wasn't those big things. What really got to me was when I walked into the home and I saw my husband, a formerly vibrant man, full of joie de vivre, my rock, my support, my number one friend, the life of the party. And here he was in a wheelchair, bound to that wheelchair unless somebody came with a Hoyer lift to take him out.
Mm-hmm.
And he was looking through his window at this tiny slice of life, of the world. And that narrowed world was the thing that got most to me.
Right.
So how, as you age, are you going to ensure some quality of life?
Yeah.
You don't have to have a neurological disease for it to become narrow. You
Mm-hmm.
just need to have that headspace in society which says that once you're old, you're no longer useful.
Valuable. Yeah.
What is the role of an aging person in society? And how can we let our children and grandchildren realize, again, you may be old, but you're not dead yet.
Yeah.
And you have things to contribute to society. And society owes you, because during your heyday,
You
you were a contributor to society.
Yeah. I want to make sure everybody gets the title of Paula's book. It's called My Bird Has Alzheimer's. Caregiving is Living for Two. So check it out on all the major outlets, and hey, support it too. Buy a book and get a read on. Paula, let's talk about community and acknowledging their role in helping people as they age. Because like you mentioned over and over, there is this tendency, and if we look at Jamaica, there was a time when we would say there was respect for old people, and that has declined. But I think it has declined all over. How do we get community recognizing and accepting that all of us go down this road?
That's a very big question, and you're not the first person to tell me it has declined in Jamaica, and that's a pity. The number one country in the world at the moment for respect for elders is Japan. And it's interesting that Norway has come second and sometimes first. But Norway has full pension, respect for the elderly. There is a very strong sense of community in Norway. People look after each other, and the programs that are done by the government are take into consideration all the various levels of ages and economic background and security.
Right.
You will find that the elderly is respected. Centers that are built for them focus on quality of life.
Right.
Centers that are built for them ensure that there is social interaction on a daily basis. There are the usual things that we know can affect aging, your diet, your DNA, all the rest of that. But these are specifically built and encouraged in communities to enclose the elderly and to make them feel that they are part and parcel of the community.
Right.
I think in Jamaica, with our really strong Christian background, that churches are the ones that are looked to fill that need. And sometimes the government lacks the impetus. There are so many other things for them to branch off into that not enough is given to the elderly.
Right.
And the younger generation, well, believe you me, you remember this technological age was supposed to make everything so easy? Oh, my Lord. What a mistake that was. No, it's great, We're doing this with technology.
Right.
I keep in touch with my family, especially my husband's family, all over the world with it. There is the good side to it. But it did not make life easier. It only made it more complicated. I was supposed to get rid of paper with this great computer and all of that stuff. I have more paper now than I ever did because, you do it and suppose it crash. You need a hard copy.
Right.
Right? So these are all the things that come into it. We have to consider life is complicated as it is, and it might become even more so. Sometimes when I give my talks, I start out like this. 6 to 20 years. That sounds like a life sentence for the most heinous crime.
Mm-hmm.
And it is. But if you get that life sentence for doing something really horrible, you could get a good lawyer that might bring it down.
Right.
You can get off with good behavior.
Mm-hmm.
The prison might become overcrowded, so they say, well, you know, you're no longer a threat to society, but we're going to let you go.
Right.
Well, consider this. 6 to 20 years is the life sentence, and it's 20 years plus
Right.
for someone who gets a diagnosis of Alzheimer's.
Right.
And you have absolutely no escape.
Right.
That's what it's going to be. And it's going to get progressively worse. That is one of the heartaches of a progressive neurological disease, not just Alzheimer's,
Mm-hmm.
because there is no up.
Yeah.
It's always down.
Yeah.
That's enough to depress anyone. And so younger people who are looking towards the process better start thinking. You know, they say it's never too early to start looking at your pension. Well,
Yeah.
it's never too early to start looking at what might happen down the road. If you are granted the gift of a very long life, what's
Mm-hmm.
going to happen? The first time I had a meeting with our financial advisor, and he says, well, we're doing projection to age 95. Now, my husband, that's good for him. He had family members who lived to 95 and 100.
Right.
None of my family has lived past 85, no, it was 86, 90. Okay. So
Right.
I laughed. I said, well, that's good. If you're projecting to 95 and there's money, my child will get something. Otherwise,
Right.
it's gone, you know?
Yeah.
And so we are living longer.
Right.
Do you realize the baby boomers are now
Still around.
seniors?
Yeah.
And they are projected, because of that halcyon heyday in which we lived,
Mm-hmm.
to live even longer. And so how do you plan for that? And
Let's
not just us,
jump
from
into that, Paula.
government all the way down.
Yeah, let's go into that in a little bit of detail though, because the planning is maybe where some people need some help and some real, I'm going to say, direct conversations, right?
Yes.
What are some elements of that plan?
In the planning for your aging, your personal aging?
Yeah.
Okay, for your personal aging, make sure that you put away some money. I mentioned about the cost of aging.
Mm-hmm.
There is a cost attached to it. You need more pills. And even we are wonderfully blessed in Canada that we can get drugs, and
Mm-hmm.
all you have to pay is that dispensing fee.
Right.
But if you have to have 20 pills per month, multiply by 4,
Mm-hmm.
that starts adding up.
Right.
See, we get so complacent that so much is going to be given or so much is available, but you always have a little bit of copay.
Right.
And when the older you get, the more that becomes. And
Mm-hmm.
so you pay more. So you have to plan financially. You have to plan also for physical ailments.
Right.
Find that if you want to stay in your home or apartment or wherever, you will have to go, and there is help, but you will have to go and get the grab bars and
Right.
the special toilet and the special walk-in bath.
Mm-hmm.
And something that is going to, and take away all your rugs, and you're feeling a little weaker. So now you need help, someone to come in and do some cleaning, household chores. The task of daily living becomes a burden.
Right.
You're going to need to do that, and you're going to pay out for that.
Right.
So those are things that you look for. Then when you come to the essential caregiver, I know of families where there are siblings and there is a fight as to who is going to be the one to take care of
some don't show up.
Yes, and heaven help you if they don't show up. But that's it. You have to sit and plan for this and talk it over. Frank conversations.
Yes.
That will have you looking at the legal and financial ramifications And also you have to look for the one who is going to advocate on behalf of your elderly relative.
Right.
If they can't do it for themselves.
Right.
And part of that, I have to give a shout out to my first love, libraries. The library can help. Go to your public library and ask the questions. They'll point you in the right direction.
Right.
For neurological disease, the Alzheimer's Society, I cannot tell you how helpful they have been. And there is government support, but just a little caveat on that.
Mm-hmm.
Quite a bit is available. But if you don't know where to go and who to ask for that help,
you won't find
you
it.
get it, because they are not going to come running.
Yeah, there you go. They're not looking for you to give it away, right?
No,
right.
No. So those are the sort of things that an answer to that question you can get at the public library.
Here's another question for you, Paula. Lifestyle. How does lifestyle influence the aging process, and what are some of the things that change?
When I talk about quality of life, I am referring to being able not to just exist.
Right.
You may be eligible for the government pension. You may be eligible for the old age security. You may be eligible for the guaranteed income supplement. Put them all together and you can exist. Maybe. Because given the inflation and the possible recession, the cost of housing, the cost, I won't talk about gas. Let's go down to someone who doesn't drive a car. I'm just talking basic living.
Mm-hmm.
All of that might be able to give you the very basic. But by the time the end of the month comes for their next pension to come, you might have to go to a food bank.
Right. So you end up living hand to mouth.
Exactly. So when I talk about quality of life, I'm talking about that basic plus.
Right.
Because having worked, raised the children, been part of a society for 80 years, to suddenly find yourself where you're just in existence leads to other diseases of the elderly.
Right.
Depression.
Yeah.
Isolation. Dropping out of the community. You can't even afford to say to a friend, come, let's go have coffee.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Because that's disposable income that you don't have.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, today I went to Walmart and there are a number of older employees there. And I keep saying I said to myself as I came out, I wonder if that is something that I'd be inclined to do at that stage, just to get out. Or are those people doing it because they have to?
I think it would be a combination of both. There are some retirees who, especially if they were in public service, just need to have people around and be with people.
Right.
And so they will want to go and work at a Walmart or work somewhere in a community center or volunteer their time where there are other people and lots of people.
Right.
And then there are those, if they don't do it, they can't live.
Right.
I think it's a complete combination of those two things. And, those who go out and get that job at Walmart, I applaud them because they are still within the community.
Mm-hmm.
But I worry about those who drop out because we are social beings. We were not meant to be isolated.
Right.
And so they more have my sympathy than those who go to get a job that they have to get to survive. And I want to say something about volunteering.
Right.
As every organization with which I'm connected, and it's a lot of them, are looking for volunteers.
Right.
And what I see, the volunteers are all getting up there. They're all baby boomers. And take away the baby, they're just boomers. And so they won't be able to boom. So it's and the thing about it, it's hard for me because I'm empathetic towards young people. I have children. So, I know how hard it is to get ahead. And I know the mindset. I admire their mindset that they don't have to stay in one job all their lives.
Right.
And I like the fact that they are curious and looking outward. But all of that, plus technology and AI, which just baffles me, is taking up so much time that I can see where their volunteer hours are at a minimum.
Yeah.
What I want to tell them that one of the best paychecks you can get is the feeling of satisfaction of doing something for someone, not because you have to, but because you want to.
Yeah. The wisdom of aging. That's one of those, right?
Yes, it is. Yeah.
We're getting to wrap up, and I want to get into a little thing about how do we advise the children and the generation coming up so that they don't make some of the mistakes that others have made, and B, do even better. What are some of those key things that we have to tell them, Paula?
I'd like to tell them that growing old is a blessing. I'd like them to honor the people who help them up, not bring them down. I would like them to learn that gratitude is a state of being, not a state of mind. The more grateful you are, the more gratitude comes back to you.
Right.
I'd like them just to repeat that when you give and give freely, what you get is tenfold what your gift was. And I'd like them to say, find a passion. And when you've found that passion, stick to it. Make it your goal. Dreams can come true if you really dream well and think of others. I think the world has lost its empathy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's such a sad loss. And sometimes the easy way is not the best way. But once you know in your heart that you have done your best, angels can do no better.
Awesome. Listen, I was going to ask another question, but I have to stop at that one. Paula, it has been an absolute pleasure having you here on Gwaan. Thanks for taking the time. Thanks for sharing with us. People, check out Paula's book, My Bird Has Alzheimer's, Caregiving is Living for Two. Amazon, where can we find it, Paula?
Well, you can find it the usual places. Amazon, it's over in 40,000 different places. It's at a different book list in Toronto, Ita Sadu, the Blackhurst Center. She's a stalwart in our community, and her bookstore is more than a bookstore. Mm-hmm. It's a cultural center. And it's in Indigo, in Burlington, and a different drummer, and the libraries. And, you don't have to pay for it. I mean, that's going against my thing. But the reason I wrote this book was to help, to guide, to inform. And so ask your local library to get it for you so you can borrow it freely and read it. And I got a really good compliment. Someone who I never knew, but I met in a store, said, "Oh, I recognize you. You're the lady who wrote that book." She says, "I went to the library and got it, and it is by my bedside because I had to go and buy it."
Right.
So, it's if it helps, that's my whole being, to help. And being an advocate for the elderly and to look at long-term care reform is something that, as long as I have breath, I will continue to do.
Awesome. Paula, thanks again. All the best, and walk good, as we'd say.
Walk good and make good up and walk with him. Thank you.
All right, take care.
You too.
Shelly, wow. I get up on mute.
You see the way me just mesmerize me can't even operate the people in computer.
Yeah.
I mean,
love it. Done.
Clarence Winter said, excellent wisdom. I was just every word I was on it. Profound. And yes, I am going to get that book. And she's going to sign it, autograph it for me. Yes.
No, trust me, wicked conversation. I tell you, love it. We do a lot of these, and there's some of them that just stand out, have way more meaning and emotion, and this is one of them. My mom died a few years ago, and I remember just watching the aging process. My dad is still alive at 89, and it's just interesting to watch it, and also acknowledge it, because I am not the young man. One day I said to him, "Why that I'm a big man now?" I am not the young man of many years ago when you're invincible and you have all this power, and the concept of aging was foreign to you until you start see it, gray beard. They call it now the arthritis orchestra. That was a good one. Some things click. It's like seriously, that thing that clicks out, right? And the preparation and the cost around it.
Yeah.
When I talk to my old man and him say, "Boy, you might go to this test, you might go to that test, you might get that tablet," and you say to yourself, who thinks about it enough to say, you know what, not everybody going not get to 60. You live past it and you all start struggle, It's interesting,
Yes, Peter. Why y'all dissing us seniors? Peter, we love all the adults. As what came out in the discussion was that it is a blessing.
Yeah.
The opposite of that, unfortunately, is dying young. And I fought to ensure that I live a long life. So for me, every birthday is a blessing. I want to see 90. I want to see 95. I want to see 100 on that cake. Yes. Planning it has. I think
you have to acknowledge it though. The first thing you have to embrace it. A lot of people, like I'll tell you, one of the things I find both amusing and a little annoying is this anti-aging approach.
That is the dumbest thing ever. Oh, you can anti-breathe?
Right?
It doesn't make sense. Aging happens every second. You can't anti. So there's no logic. It's an industry.
Right.
Money.
But some people are trying to stop it, and them are trying to prevent others from accepting it and acknowledging it and embracing it and aging well. Because I know you push that all the time. How do you work at aging well?
It is very conscious. I mean, even a part of my daily devotion to myself, I say to myself, I have it written out, I am enjoying my aging process. I am beautiful. This is good. I have to, because for me, as much as me love it, it is frightening. And there are parts of aging that is not sexy, that is not fun.
Yeah.
But that is a part of it. You never know what you're going to grab out of that bag, But as you say, we have to plan for it. We have to be deliberate. And that is what a year like 2022 and beyond does. It gives us access to information. As Paula just said, the library, you have to be deliberate, consistent, and focus. That in a dibby thing when you get older. You actually have to muster up all of the experience from the 10, 20, 60, 80 years to move forward.
Some serious reasoning.
Excellent wisdom.
Yeah,
Bad.
Yeah. I like how she in it. I like how she in
Yes.
it.
Yes.
Right?
On
Because
point. Drop the mic. Walk away.
yeah, man, that's true. We can embrace it like angels
Yes.
and kind of move on and give with it, you know. So awesome reasoning, awesome reasoning. But we know you have things to do, so I go drop off. All right.
All right. See you next week. Yes. Ooh. Hinami haki, hinami aki. Peter. Usually old folks would be monitoring this forum. Y'all not qualified. Peter, I am very proud of my age. I am a beautiful 43. I mean, nearly say 42 my birthday. So I am old enough to be able to understand and to be able to embrace and prepare for the next 40, 50, 60 years. But Peter, thank you so much for the comment. Prudence Betty, Wagwan, thank you so much. David Betty, good evening, good evening, good evening. Love to see the chat. Me like how now move with the word for the day, you know. What was the word for the day again? Yes, twang. And Prudence, me like the sentence. Then you come back without even like a twang. So you go far and you're not even come back with a little accident, a little accent. Not true? Yeah, excellent. Very good, Prudence. You know what twang is. Speaking with a mix of Jamaican and another accent. The accent can be German, Canadian, American, or something that you just make up. You not even have to be real. But yes, you go far and you're not even come back with a little twang. Or then can twangy. Prudence Betty, love it. Thank you so very much. And now, did anybody guess spot the place? Of course, Prudence. Betty and Prudence, nicely Betty. Duns River Falls. Love. And again, that has to be on your bucket list. Love Duns River Falls. You just have to go. It's beautiful. It's Jamaica. Duh. Yeah. As the young people then will say. Now, next week, we continue our series of excellent episodes with discussions on spirituality. What role has it played? We'll have our guest, Dr. Melissa Royal and Janelle Brown. Join us now. So next week discussion is going to be, I know, out of this world. Come, join us. Spirituality, what role has it played? We are still looking for our marketing coordinator. We are looking for an experienced marketing coordinator and a content creator on a volunteer basis to join our Gwaan National team. This is a phenomenal opportunity to hone your communications, creative, and marketing skills, and to work and receive mentorship with a team of professionals located across Canada. Students are welcome. You must have experience working in marketing, social media space, have experience creating marketing social media campaigns, must be familiar with the Jamaican Caribbean culture. Come and be a part of a vibrant team of people who are all passionate about sharing all aspects of our beautiful Jamaican culture with the world. Do you know someone who are a perfect fit for these roles? Please share this information with them and send them a link to our show. We would love to hear from them. Send your resume to us via our social media account or email us at wataguancnd@gmail.com. Please, we also would love for you to send us Wataguan. Send us a clip so we can add it to the show. Follow us on our Facebook, Instagram. We want to hear from you. Check us our website, which has all the shows and all the details to contact us at www.wataguan.ca. Send us an email. We want to hear from you. Contact us. My name is Shelley Morgan. Thank you so much for joining us today for another episode of Wataguan. Wishing you a wonderful weekend. See you next week. I encourage you to take care of yourself and those around you and begin thinking, how can I make my older adult years my best human years? You can. Until then, walk good.